Hello, healers, and welcome to Start Massage Biz, your online resource for creating a massage or wellness practice that you will love. Today, we're talking about website 102 for wellness practitioners, ways to build your website. So this is the second in a series of 3 different videos and articles that we're doing. The first one talks more about website terms of technology. So if you feel lost at all about the difference between a website builder versus a website host versus a domain name, please go back and review that first video. Now, in today's video, we're going to be talking about the 3 different ways that you can build your website, the 2 different types of technology that website builders come in, and a list of 10 things that I like to consider when choosing a website host or builder. So today is a big day. Let's get started. So when it comes to building a website, there are 3 different ways that you could do it. You can either hire someone to do it for you. You could trade with someone, either a full trade or a partial trade, or you could do it yourself. So there are cons and pros to each one, and we're going to discuss them really quickly. So you could always outsource your website. Usually this is where you hire an expert to do it for you. If you don't have any technical skills, this might be a really good choice for you. It does usually cost around hundreds of dollars to get something done. The main thing that you want to consider when having someone else do your website is how much will it cost you to have them change something on your website. For instance, if you want to change your location, if you want to change your hours, the staff that you have on site, if you want to change your rates, which is something I do suggest that you do on a regular basis, or if you want to add or subtract any services, then you might have to call your website creator and ask them to make these changes for you. And usually that it comes at a cost. So you want to ask them how much will it cost, or is the technology going to be simple enough for them to give you a quick tutorial on how to use it and the login and password for yourself so that you could go in and change those things. So you're going to have to consider those things when you're hiring someone. The next option is trading. I absolutely love trading. I encourage people to trade as much as possible. I found that graphic designers were really easy to trade with, but in my personal experience, web designers were a little harder to nail down. Usually, if they were interested in trading, they were interested in only doing a partial trade. So it's really important that you have a discussion with them first. What are the terms that we're working with? How much does it cost for you if I were going to hire you? How much would it cost if you were going to hire me? Are we going to do a straight what for what trade? Are we going to do a partial trade? You know, you're going to figure those things out. But trading could be a really good option, especially if you're not technically inclined. And then the last option to get your website done is to do it yourself. So this used to not be possible at first, but now we have all these really wonderful drag and drop editors that are super easy to use. So if you're computer inclined, if you're tech inclined at all, the doing yourself is a very good option. I think for people in our field, our websites do not have to be like exciting or experimental or anything like that. So, something that's super simple will work for us. And so we can often do these things ourselves. So there are 2 types of website builder technologies. One of them is open source and the other is closed source. So what does this mean and why is it important to you? Well, one of the most well-known and well-used website builders is open source technology, and that is WordPress.org. Don't confuse it with .com. It's a totally different company and a different thing, but WordPress.org runs over 1/3 of all the websites on the internet, so that it has a huge control of the marketplace. And if you hire someone to do a website for you, they will most likely be using WordPress. So one of the pros of using WordPress is they have this thing called a plugin. A plugin is like a snippet of code that allows WordPress to do whatever it is that you want, right? So if there's a very advanced feature that you want, for instance, like you want to have do an online course, you'll need a learning management system. You could get a plugin for WordPress. If you want an online store, you could get a plugin for WordPress, right? So you could pretty much do anything that you want to do with plugins. The sky is the limit. The last time I checked, there were over 27,000 plugins on WordPress. So if you want to be extra, you could totally be extra with WordPress. So one of the cons with WordPress is that it has a steep learning curve. You could get overwhelmed really quickly with all those plugins and needing to know what to do next. And sometimes this is why we hire an expert to do it, right? Another is that if you use a plugin and that plugin changes, or that company dies and goes away, then you may have a part of your website that needs to be updated or repaired or replaced. And lastly, a con of WordPress is that I find that it's really busy. Very often you have to wade through a whole bunch of advertisements and updates and stuff before you actually get to the designing part of the builder, and I find that a little annoying sometimes. That said, the website that we currently use here at Start Massage Biz is a WordPress website. I decided to do that because I wanted to do online courses, and I found that WordPress was the easiest way and one of the most affordable ways that I could do that in a long-term vision, right? So I do use WordPress, and I gotta say, it takes a lot of effort to know what you're doing by yourself. I definitely suggest that if you're gonna try to build a WordPress site and you're not that really great with computers, that you might want to hire someone or trade with someone. Next, let's talk about closed source technology. So these are companies where only that company is really designing the code for the website builder. These are companies like Weebly, Wix, and Squarespace. Now, these companies do not have plugins where anyone in the world can build code, but they do have what's called an integration. So this is where instead of having 27,000 different suggestions for a plugin, they only work with certain companies that are, more famous or more likely to be used, or and they build integrations with them. So usually these companies offer completely different services, but they work with the website builder so that you can integrate those services with your website. So as an example, Weebly.com is really well integrated with SquareUp.com. Now I could get SquareUp on Wix, and I could get SquareUp on WordPress as well, but Weebly and SquareUp have a very particular partner sort of relationship, right? So that's an example of a closed source technology. In these companies, you might not have all the features that you could ever possibly want, like you do with WordPress, but they do have a lot of features that are good for people like us in our industry, people who are just offering sort of like a service and they're not doing anything that's super extra, right? So I really like the idea of closed source technologies for people who might not be so technically inclined, because they do have some pros to them. For instance, the learning curve is not that steep. Their software is usually more intuitive, and they have very easy drag and drop editors. And a lot of them do have the features that you might want, like an online store or a blog post feed. So finally, I'm going to give you my list of 10 things that I like to look for in a website host or builder. A free domain name for a year. A free SSL certificate for life. Email address availability. An easy-to-use drag-and-drop editor. Design templates you love. Mobile capability and preview. Advanced features like a blog post feed or an online store. Integrations for scheduling and point-of-sale systems. Excellent customer service. And pricing that you can afford. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give us a thumbs up, give us a comment below, let us know what you think. And please join us next month because we are going to be going over website 103, where we look more in detail on those 10 things that I look for in a website builder. And specifically, we're going to be looking at Weebly, Wix, and Squarespace and kind of comparing them across the board. So I look forward to serving you then. My name is Jaden Rose. I am a massage therapist and Reiki master, and I look forward to serving you.